Ceasefire my foot. Senator Ping Lacson shoots down alleged overtures for a truce as his feud with Senator Alan Peter Cayetano escalates anew and says there is no turning back. Lacson threatens to unload more, quote, delicious details on supposed flood control anomalies in Taguig, but Cayetano dismisses the claims as malicious. And from alleged ghost projects to an alleged billion-peso money trail, the Vice President and her tax and bank records now landing in the impeachment court as prosecutors dig into claims of unexplained wealth. Good evening, you're watching Political Beat. I'm Lourdes Vera. The word war between Senators Ping Lacson and Alan Peter Cayetano heats up anew over alleged anomalies in Taguig and its flood control projects. Lacson rejected an alleged ceasefire offer while Cayetano denies seeking a truce and says he's ready to face the claims in the proper forum. Live from the Senate, we talk to our mobile journalist, Merimon Reyes. Merimon, okay, what triggered Lacson's ceasefire remark and sino raw itong mga supposed ambassadors of peace ng dalawa o ng party Cayetano?
Lourdes, sa latest na naging statement at post ni Senator Ping Lacson, wala siyang na-name drop na kahit na sino. However, he said that he declared that there would be no ceasefire after exposing alleged anomalies involving infrastructure projects in Taguig City, the political bailiwick of Senator Alan Peter Cayetano. And yung sinasabi niya, ang sabi pa ni Senator Ping, ceasefire my foot. Ano uri raw ng tao ang magde-declare ng gyera, toyga ng dala, laway ang bala, pero kapag na-confront daw ng bomba, magre-request ng ceasefire at pabulong pa. Wala nga lang binanggit na pangalan itong si Senator Ping Lacson, pero if we're gonna trail back, ito ay tungkol sa, ito yung palitan ng salita nila ni Senator Cayetano na nagsimula noong kinwestiyon ni Senator Alan yung biglaang paglobo daw ng yaman, yung nakalagay sa SALN ng senador throughout the years na nasabi naman ni Senator Ping dahil daw yan sa real estate, legitimate and legal businesses. Pero yun nga lang, in return, ito naman ang nilabas ngayon ni Senator Ping, supposed government infrastructure anomalies sa Taguig. Lord.
Merimon, okay, yung sinasabing overtures of a truce, supposedly, sa anong paraan daw ba itong sinasabing offer ng kalma?
Lord, ang sinasabi kasi ni Senator Ping, matapos daw, ito kumbaga yung may offering daw ng ceasefire ay matapos ilantad ni Lacson itong tinatawag niya na damning evidence na double billing at iba pang irregularities na kaugnay nga doon sa slope protection and other infrastructure projects sa Taguig City. Wala nga lang talagang naging detalyeng nilabas itong si Senator Ping sa kung sino yung lumalapit o yung sinasabi bumubulong daw for a ceasefire at pangalawa, ano yung nais mangyari. Na wala namang gagawing investigasyon ng Blue Ribbon and such. Pero ang alam din natin sa ngayon at sinabi din naman ni Senator Ping, lahat ng documentary evidence, yung testimonial evidence na meron siya tungkol dito ay ipinadala niya na rin sa Office of the Ombudsman. Plus, ibibigay din daw niya ito at handa rin daw siyang magsalita sa pagdinig ng Senate Blue Ribbon Committee kapag ka nagbukas na sila ulit o ipinagpatuloy nila yung kanilang investigasyon patungkol dito.
Ayan, speaking of which, okay, kailan daw ba mangyayari itong Blue Ribbon hearing na ito ba, yung susunod, specifically ba mag-focus siya sa Taguig, Merimon?
Lord, ang nasabi dyan ni Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman Senator Erwin Tulfo, actually ang concern nila, hindi pa kompleto ang roster ng members ng committee, lalo-lalo na daw sa part ng minority. Nagsabi naman daw, baka next week daw magbigay na ng members ng listahan ng mga miyembro. And kung sakali man, ang mangyayari kapag nagpatawag na ulit ng pagdinig o pagpupulong itong Blue Ribbon, lilinawin nila kung ano ang magiging direksyon nila. Ipagpapatuloy daw ba nila itong investigations for control projects, including itong supposed government infrastructure anomalies sa Taguig? Or dahil may pronouncement daw ang Office of the Ombudsman, si Ombudsman Boying Remulla na sila na raw nagsasagawa ng investigasyon, hindi na raw dapat mangialam ang Senado. Kumbaga, ano na ba, ipagpapatuloy ba nila o ihahayaan na lang daw nila ang Ombudsman to take the wheel at sila ay tututok na raw sa ibang mga issue. Kasi ang sinasabi ni Senator Erwin, marami pa raw kailangang isalang sa Blue Ribbon Committee. Hindi lang naman daw itong tungkol sa lumipas na legislative inquiry on the flood control scandal. Kapag may mga bagong personalities daw, bagong names daw na lumabas, dyan at dyan for sure lalabas din ang pagdinig muli ng Blue Ribbon Committee. And ang sabi naman ni Senator Ping Lacson, yung delicious evidence niya, itong araw ay documentary and testimonial evidence, official records culled from government websites, others supplied by reliable sources, and they're looking at cases, yung final nila doon sa Office of the Ombudsman, plunder cases, malversation, violation of the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, among others. Lord.
Ano kaya yung ibig sabihin ng delicious na yun, ano? Pero Mary Mon, last na lang. Okay, sinabi ni Senator Tulfo na may mga minority senators daw ang sinusubukang i-block ang hearing.
Sa tingin ni Senator Erwin, oo. Kasi nga, for example, yung mga miyembro ng komite, hindi pa raw nila mabuo-buo, makumpleto kasi hindi pa raw nagbibigay o nagpapadala ang Senate Minority Block. However, may napag-usapan naman daw, nagsabi naman daw ang minority na next week magbibigay na sila ng listahan nila ng mga miyembro. Pero kung hindi ito mangyayari, hindi raw sila makakapagsimula muli ng kanilang pagpupulong o kaya naman itong legislative inquiries ng Blue Ribbon. Kaya yung sinabi last time ni Senator Erwin na baka the earliest next week or this week may schedule na ang Blue Ribbon, sa ngayon na antabayanan muna natin kung kailan. Importante rin muna raw sa kanila, fully ma-organize na nila itong Blue Ribbon Committee.
Alright, maraming salamat. Thank you, Mary Mon Reyes, our mobile journalist in the Senate. Please don't go away. More stories when Political Beat returns. And you're still watching Political Beat. I'm Lourdes Vera. President Marcos' fifth State of the Nation address laid out his administration's priorities for the last 2 years of his term. While the president highlighted major initiatives on anti-corruption, the economy, and governance, some sectors also noted key issues they believe were left unaddressed. Let's delve deeper into the president's SONA and many more issues with Presidential Communications Office Secretary Dave Gomez. Secretary Lourdes Vera po, thank you for this opportunity. Alam ko sir, hindi po kayo basta-basta nagpapa-interview, sir.
No, maraming salamat sa invitasyon, Lord. I mean, it's my honor to be on your program, Political Beat.
Thank you, sir. Sir, if I'm not mistaken, tama ba itong July ay ang anniversary po ninyo dyan po sa PCO, tama?
Oh, yes. I celebrated my first year in government, in PCO, ngayong July. So, 12 months na in office. Pero it feels like 12 years.
Oo nga eh. Bakit kaya ganun, Sec Dave, ano? Parang isang taon pa lang pala, pero parang ang tagal-tagal na sa dami ho ba nang nangyari, Sec Dave?
Oo, siguro, Lord, no? Over the past years, talagang ang daming paghamon, ang daming krisis, ang daming issues na kinaharap ng ating Pangulo. At lahat yan inaddress niya at hindi siya na-distract doon sa kanyang pangunahing agenda na mag-deliver ng public services at governance at paigihin ang kabuhayan ng ating mga mamamayan, no? So talagang yung the year that was really, I may say, action-packed, no? Nagsimula nung SONA, nung in-expose nga itong mga flood control projects, nagsunod-sunod na, maraming headwinds din tayong nakasalubong, no? Bagyo, baha, lindol, international geopolitical issues, no? So talagang action-packed yung year natin.
Sec Dave, yung SONA po na binigay ng Pangulo 2 days ago, no? Nakailang draft revisions po kayo, if I may ask?
To be honest, Lord, no, talagang madami nagtatanong, no? Pero ang Pangulo talaga, ang main speechwriter nito, siya mismo sumulat nung kanyang SONA, no? Hiningan lang kami ng mga inputs sa mga iba-ibang departments. Nag-submit na naman kami ng aming mga accomplishments for the year. Pero at the end of the day, it was the President who really wrote the SONA, his SONA, no? May mga konting lang, syempre mga technical staff support, no? To help him. So, I really don't know how many drafts he went through. Ang alam lang namin nung linggo, yun na yung pinaka-semi-final nung nag-rehearse ang Pangulo. Pero from that rehearsal, hindi rin namin alam kung nag-tweak pa siya ng konti bago siya pumunta ng Kongreso nung Lunes. No?
Oo, ang biro ng iba, kung susukatin daw, bibilangin pinakamaraming cutaways, ano? sa mga sa editing daw. Mukhang si Sec Win Gatchalian, si Sec Rex Gatchalian yata yung parang fair-haired boy. Pero okay, Dave, Secretary Dave, matanong ko lang po. Si Yusek Claire Castro, yung style na ho ba ng kaniyang pagsagot sa media, pag-aanunsyo, ito ho ba talaga yung estilo na na-foresee po ninyo noon pa o parang isang ano po ito, surprise para sa inyo?
Lord, ano lang no? Bago ako dumating dito, siguro mga 3 or 4 months before I came in, nandito na si Yusek Claire, no? As the presidential spokesperson and our head for the Palace Press Office, no? When she got on board, alam naman natin yung estilo ni Yusek Claire, no? And siya talaga may sarili siyang estilo that really resonates to a large audience, no? So siguro yun talaga yung kanyang papel, to communicate to a larger audience so that she can put yung mga sinasabi ng Pangulo, yung mga ginagawa ng Pangulo, yung mga accomplishment ng Pangulo in the proper context at in a manner, in a style, in a language na maiintindihan ng nakararaming nating mga kababayan. No? So she has a role to play and she's doing it very well, very well.
Oo, marami pong nag-guest po kami, mga dati po mga spokespersons po, no, ng past administrations. Mataas ang ranking nila kay Yusek Claire at normally in the high, kung 10 being the highest, mga nasa 8, 9, puro ganun. At what they particularly appreciate daw ay yung pagiging, yung pagpalag ni Yusek Claire, no? Minsan ho ba hindi kayo kinakabahan, Sec Dave, na nako, baka medyo nag-cross the line ang ating anti-Claire this time. Pinag-uusapan niyo ho ba yan, Sec Dave?
Oo naman. Lagi naman kaming may alignment meeting bago mag-briefing si Yusek Claire. Pinag-uusapan namin yung messaging on the issues of the day, no? Pero hinahayaan namin siyang ipaliwanag yung mga issues na to in her own style. We don't want to cramp her own style. Sabi ko nga, she resonates very well with a larger audience. So we just discuss the messaging and the narrative that we want to put forward. But at the end of the day, it's Yusek Claire in her own style who communicates those messages.
Sec Dave, tayong dalawa lang naman nag-uusap dito, no?
Sige.
Po para sa inyo ang sabihin natin mas challenging na ibenta sa bayan? Ang tobacco products o ang kasalukuyang presidente?
Parehong mahirap, no? I think you're referring to my previous role, no?
Yep,
bilang director ng communications
Apa.
sa Philip Morris International for
Yes, sir.
more than 2 decades, no? Both have challenges, no? I must admit, no? That tobacco industry is a highly regulated industry, and we really have to be very responsible in communicating our products, communicating to our consumers, no? The same, yun naman yung similarity nila, the same in this particular role, I have to be very responsible as well in providing clear and transparent messaging to our people.
So, mangungulit ako ng konti, Sec Dave. So, in fairness, ang Malacanang press corps ay sinasabi palagi na wala naman daw issues na hindi kayo nasagot. Ayan, at least, pero sa tingin po ninyo, Sec Dave, ano po ang sikreto ninyo bilang panglimang Communication Secretary ng Malacanang, ang mga bagay na sabihin natin na ginawa po ninyo or hindi nyo ginawa, kaya nandyan pa rin po kayo, sir?
I think ang importante sa role na to, Lord, no, is you have to be very collaborative, no. You have to appreciate that no one man has a monopoly of knowledge or no one man has a monopoly of PR strategies. No? You have to be very collaborative. You need to be consultative. You have to work very well with all the agencies of, at least in the executive department or in the office of the president, before coming up with specific strategies, specific messaging, no. Likewise, syempre marami ding aral talaga, no. Kung minsan sunod-sunod ang meeting ng Pangulo, hindi kuminsan, madalas sunod-sunod ang meeting ng Pangulo and makukuha mo lang yung briefer 1 or 2 hours before, not enough time to study the issues, the brief, but you really have to devote time to study the issues so that you can properly advise. You can properly advise, you can properly draft craft the messaging for the president.
Ito ho bang naranasan nyo ngayon for 1 year? Was this how you expected or visualized or imagined the job? O mas madugo pa pala ito?
Not in my wildest dreams, Lord.
Ano po, yung
10 times my expectations.
10 times. Nako. Ano ho ba, anong oras na ho ba kayo nakaka-uwi? On an average po, Sec Dave?
Ito, ngayon, nandito pa ako sa opisina ngayon, no? And kadalasan, mga hanggang ganitong oras, no? You have to understand, na it's different now from my time when I was in the media. We have tayo, noong unang panahon namin, may mga fixed deadlines tayo, and then pagkatapos ng deadline natin, we knock off, no? But in the new media landscape, 24/7 na yung deadlines natin, eh, no? So,
Nako, sinabi niyo yan.
Di natutulog ang balita ngayon, di natutulog. So you have to constantly monitor what's happening.
Sir, congratulations. Yung ano pala, no? Sayang, hindi nyo na yata inabot, Sec Dave, eh. Yung building sa sa Visayas Avenue, may elevator na daw. Pero nasira din agad. Nasira din daw agad yung elevator. Okay.
No, that's the, I think you're referring to the Philippine Information Agency sa
Yes,
Visayas
sir.
Avenue.
Yes, sir.
Naano din ako doon nung
Dati yung
year
teritoryo
2000.
yan, sir, di ba?
Ano din ako, nagtrabaho din ako sa PIA.
Mismo, sir. Okay, Sir Dave, tawag dito. Kailan po nagdedesisyon, of course, malaking social media component din po ng President as on his own. At the same time, yung infrastructure po ng PCO. Kailan po nagde-decide kung ang gagamitin, halimbawa ng Pangulo, ay yung kanyang sariling social media account versus ang infrastructure po dyan sa Malacanang, sa inyo po?
Well, when it comes to official communications from the office of the president and the president himself, it has to come out from PCO, no. Pero may mga ibang personal na mensahe ang Pangulo, personal na gusto ipahatid ng Pangulo, doon niya ginagamit yung kanyang Facebook account. At doon makikita mo yung kanyang mga personal vlog na yung mga weekends niya with his family, yung nagluluto ang ating Pangulo, nakipag-jamming siya sa kanyang mga anak. Yung mga personal doon sa personal account niya. But pag official government communications naman, we observe the proper channels and the proper protocol in communicating what he's doing.
Opo. Okay, sa parehong concern pa rin, Sec Dave, yung do you feel sometimes that government communications compete with influencers? Sir, yung content, halimbawa, minsan ang isang official press conference ay mas konti pa ang naaabot kung i-compare mo sa isang TikTok creator na sabihin natin na may certain political alignment, sir. Paano po ninyo, sir, tinatrabaho? Bahagi po ito ng radar ninyo, sir, na tinatrabaho? Or hinahayaan natin si Auntie Claire to take care of it?
Good point, no? Good question, Lord, no? Today, we have to understand that the media landscape, nga sabi ko kanina, nagbago na, no? So, the way people acquire their information, the way people acquire their sources of news, nahahati na between traditional media, yung print, radio, television, at yung social media. Sa social media, nandyan yung mga tinawag mo nga kaninang content creators, mga influencers, nandyan din yung mga online news portals. So you have to communicate at every available touch point, no, para to reach a wide audience and to reach the entire archipelago. So to answer your questions, yes, we have to be omnipresent in all the communications touch points available to us.
Oo, kasi sir, bukod sa andyan traditional outlets, yung karagdagan pa mga social media elements at of course, sir, tinitingnan talaga ninyo yun, sir. Sir Dave, nasa radar talaga ninyo yung mga yon.
Oo naman. In fact, kung merong misinformation o may disinformation, halimbawa sa isang content creator or sa isang influencer, we have to correct that, no? We have to correct that through official channels, or we have to reach out to that person to correct or put in context yung mga misinformation na nakita namin. Ngayon, yung talagang ibang nananadya at nagpe-peddle na ng fake news, we're going after them na. we realize yung impact ng mga fake news. Mabilis lang, split seconds lang, reputations can be damaged, no? Public trust can erode because of one fake post, no? That's why us in TCO, we launched this campaign against fake news. And we've partnered with several news organizations, reputable news organizations. We partnered with the 9 broadsheet publishers to help us fact check kung fake nga or hindi yung mga na-spot namin. We partnered with the DICT and the DOJ to fast-track the prosecution of these fake news peddlers. And noticeably, napansin namin when we went after them, medyo nabawasan na. I mean, I think they're thinking twice now before posting any fake or manufactured content, knowing that we will go after them with the full force of the law.
Sir, meron ho bang, siguro nakikita nyo po yung mga nagawa rin po ng mga predecessors po ninyo sa mga previous administrations. Is there an incident or one, sabihin natin, government communications failure na witness mo, siguro panahon mo sa media, and even kung wala pa, before kang napunta po sa PCO, here or abroad, that taught you a very important lesson, sir?
A major communications failure? Wala akong maisip at the top of my mind, no? In government, no? In government, Lord, no? Pero when I was in the private sector, practicing corporate communications, I've seen several leaders of companies, presidents and CEO make big mistakes during interviews, during live interviews like this. And then the lesson there is really to prepare, no? To prepare, study your messaging and identify the messages that you want to put out, no? Back then, there are a lot of studies, and I think you know that the average viewer, reader, or the person that you communicate to can only absorb at the most 3 top-line messages. So before going into any form of interview, tinuturo yan sa mga media training namin doon sa private sector, you have to identify the top 3 messages and the supporting data that you want to back up your messages, and always go back to your messages, no? So I think doon yun yung tutunan ko sa private sector. Always prepare. It's not good to face the media in a very complacent manner. Katulad ngayon, bago ko humarap sa'yo dito sa camera, nalalamig yung mga kamay ko, Lord.
Oh. Sorry sir, parang hindi yata kami nakapagpadala ng mga mga points of discussion at mukhang hindi ko na nasusunod itong mga natin, napadala natin.
I enjoyed the conversation.
Opo, mas interesado po ako doon sa system po ninyo. Sir, ano yung isang major point na pinagtalunan ninyo ng Pangulo? Of course, we all know that the President is a man who spent all his life trying to avoid conflict. No? That's not his area of specialization. Pero saan kayo madalas hindi nagkakasundo? At may isang bagay ba na sabi mo, boss, hindi natin pwede labas kasi personally ikaw mismo ay hindi ka naniniwala?
Lord, to be honest, believe me or not, hindi pa kami umabot sa ganung punto na hindi kami nagkasundo ng Pangulo. Meron siyang mga ideas, meron siyang mga messages na gusto niyang i-communicate, and kadalasan nagkakasundo kami. Sometimes ako naman may mga suggestions sa Pangulo, and he's very open to suggestions. So if my style is really very collaborative, ganun din ang Pangulo. But at the end of the day, the final decision rests on the president, and we respect the decision of the president because at the end of the day, he shows us the wisdom behind his decisions, and most of his decisions are informed decisions.
Okay. Nung Marso, Sec Dave, nagkaroon ng isang survey, no? At kayo po sinasabi ang the most approved cabinet official. Nagtaka ho ba kayo? Isang foundation po ang ng isang nationwide survey at sinabi kayo po ang isa sa mga top performing members of the cabinet.
Medyo To be honest, surprised talaga, Lord, no? But kasi nga kami, we don't look at survey numbers that much. No? It doesn't affect or it doesn't change what we need to do on a day-to-day basis. To us, ako personally, that's just a snapshot, a moment in time in our history. So kung noong Marso, mataas ang approval rating, baka nung huling June, nagbago na yan. So it's just a snapshot of history. But it guides us. It tells us, okay, you're doing well, continue doing that, but it should not end there. You have to continuously look for areas of development where you can improve, because that's how we grow as professionals. That's how we can help the government, the president better.
Ano po ang isang misconception tungkol sa trabaho ninyo that frustrates you the most, sir?
Of course, anyone from the private sector moving to government, medyo sabi nga nila, medyo naiinip at the pace of government. So I was kind of bracing myself for that. And in fact, di ba, noong 2000 nga, I was already in government sa PIA before I joined the private sector. But to my surprise, when I joined government, medyo hindi na pala siya ganong kabagal. It's not a huge Titanic na mahirap i-steer, no? Some processes, some systems in government, especially under the administration of our president, talagang nag-improve, na-fast track. And I think partly because of the digital transformation that the president is spearheading under his administration. So maraming internal systems and processes na napapabilis na natin. Marami din tayong maraming mga transactions ang ating mga kababayan ngayon with government na napapabilis because of digital transformation. Isa na dyan yung ating eGov app, no? So it's a one-stop shop. Kung meron kayong kailangan with agencies of government, you just log onto the app and you can transact online, no? So siguro hindi frustrations, but it's really more of a surprise for me na talagang nag-improve na ang sistema ng ating government.
Alright. Sec Dave, kayo ang official storyteller ng administrasyon, whether you like it or not. Ano sa tingin mo ang sasabihin ng kasaysayan once the term ends, no? The president's term ends? Ano sa tingin nyo ang sasabihin ng kasaysayan na hindi po nakokontrol ng kahit anong communication efforts?
Alam mo, Lord, hindi sa akin nanggaling itong mga salitan to. Nanggaling salitang ito sa ating Pangulo. Sabi niya, the contemporary may be harsh, but history will be kinder to us. Yung mga sunod-sunod na headwinds na hinarap ng ating Pangulo, and at the same time, hindi niya napabayaan yung kanyang core responsibilities. Sinasabi ko nga, maraming mga political noise, maraming mga headwinds that try to derail us, get us off our track. Pero the President was very successful in keeping our train on track. Single focus yung kanyang agenda. He was not derailed. He addressed those issues, but his singular purpose, he continued with his agenda na paigihin ang kabuhayan ng nakararaming Pilipino. So history will be kinder to the President. I always say that probably the greatest of legacies are forged under the most difficult, most trying of times. And I think ito yung punto sa ating history na masasabi kong the most trying and the most difficult times, no? But history will be kinder to the President, and he may have one of the best legacies to be left behind by any President of the Republic.
All right. On that note, Secretary Dave Gomez, maraming salamat po sa pagkakataon ito. Thank you for your time, sir. At sana po wag po kayo magpa-stress kasi nakakaubos daw po ng buhok ang stress. Maraming salamat, Secretary Dave Gomez ng PCO. Thank you, sir.
Maraming salamat, Lord. Maraming salamat. Good evening. Thank you.
All right. Please stick around. More developments ahead here on Political Beat. President Marcos has authorized the release of Vice President Sara Duterte's tax records to the Senate Impeachment Court. What does this latest development mean for the prosecution, and is it, score another point, for the PROSEX. Joining us now live in the studio as House Prosecutor and Lanao del Sur's 1st District Representative, Zia Alonto Adyong. Congressman, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you for the invitation. Maraming salamat.
Alright. Ayun, no? Nakilala na rin kita finally. Napapanood lang kita sa TV, sir. Okay. Of course, napakalaking bagay. But nagulat pa ba kayo na papayagan ng Pangulo na mabuksan ng BIR, itong tax records ng Vice President?
Ako, hindi siya nagulat kasi first and foremost, pinag-uusapan kasi natin dito how we can make sure na kumpleto yung financial records ng Vice President. Kung meron stumbling block doon, I think the President, after having, said in many occasions na running after the crook, kasi if you base that on the previous SONA, sinabi niya yung accountability talaga, paninindigan niya yan. So, knowing, for example, where the President stands for in this whole discussion for accountability and transparency, I think the President just merely acted on the premise that he really do not want any stumbling block for the impeachment trial, especially the judges, to not fully satisfy themselves with evidence that they need to see before they can actually reach a judgment. So kung matatanggal yung ITRs, BIR records, for example, in the ITRs, kasi it's considered to be protected by the data privacy.
Yeah.
Kasi hindi siya public record, di ba? It's a personal and individual records. So only the President can actually request for BIR to make this public. So if that is the stumbling block, for example, for the impeachment court to fully satisfy itself, and sufficiently exercise its constitutional duty to try and decide, I think the President was merely complying with the constitutional duty and complying with the constitutional duty of what the Constitution says. No?
Mas magugulat tayo siguro kung hindi siya pumayag.
Exactly. So, mas magiging issue yan ng pamumulitika, di ba? Kung hindi siya pumayag. Kasi ang effect nun is hindi balanse or hindi kompleto yung titingnan ng mga judges pagdating sa pag-appreciate nila doon sa mga financial records. Kasi unang-una, how can you be able to fully realize na meron talagang non-disclosure sa SALN, di ba? Kung hindi mo makikita yung binabayaran buwis nung mag-asawa.
Of course, sa ibang article, para sa ibang article ito.
This is for the unexplained wealth.
Unexplained wealth.
Diba?
Oo. Okay, doon muna tayo sa yung nasimulan po kahapon. So far, maingat ang paglatag ng prosecution, Congressman. Pero kayo ba ay nag-i-expect ng mga... At for some reason, hindi naging technical at hindi cross-examination ng defense. Nagulat. Medyo
Stipulate
kinabahan.
na
Di ba? Parang,
stipulate na sila. No? Kasi alam nila na wala naman talaga wala na silang pwedeng sabihin para i-deny. Na una, ang SDO talaga is si Ms. Jenny Acosta for the OVP. Wala na silang po pwedeng i-deny na si Mr. Fajardo ang SDO para doon sa confidential funds ng DepEd at hindi nila madi-deny na yung mga bank
dumaan siya sa fire
managers...
exit.
Exactly. So, I mean, para strategy na rin kasi kung i-cross pa nila yon mas lalo pang mas baka may lumabas pa, 'di ba? So I think mas ginusto na lang nila na let's have this over para matapos na to at hindi na sila mag-cross. In fact, nag-stipulate na ng defense na okay, we will no longer be wala nga objection other than
actually, nag-object sila kay Congressman De Lima.
Yung preliminary remarks ni Congressman De Lima. But makita mo dun sa direct presentation ni Joel Chua, Congressman Joel Chua, talagang hindi nila yun kinontest.
Naging conscious ho ba kayo sa mga strategies at yung mga feedback mula doon sa unang pinag-usapang article? Halimbawa, yung haba at yung tone ng presentation para hindi masyado maging technical?
Actually, nagpapasalamat tayo kay Presiding Officer, Senator Chis, kasi medyo liberal yung way na ina-allow niya yung at least hindi siya talagang yung regular na criminal proceedings, na yung sinasabing standard for presentation of evidence is dapat beyond reasonable
Hindi naman
doubt,
criminal
di
court
ba?
ito, eh.
Hindi naman criminal court. So, nagpapasalamat tayo kasi meron talagang way para maintindihan ng taong bayan, no? As much as possible to make it more effective in a way, make the people understand kung anong pinag-usapan dito. So, kasi sa prosecution, ang ang pinanghahawakan talaga namin ay yung mga records that we have already we have already secured confirmation from agencies. Like for example, yung sa confidential funds kasi pinag-uusapan natin dito. And later on, natapos na yung sa dalawang managers, pag-usapan natin na naman yung how it was utilized, di ba? Kasi unusual eh. The unusual thing there na sinasabi ng mga managers are not just the amount na in-cash. Remember, ito ay hindi siya dineposit na meron silang account. Dumaan lang ito, encashment to. Hindi to yung usual na magpapa-encash ka kasi meron kang account doon. So, para maiwasan ata din yung money trail, di ba? So, encashment to eh. So, yung hindi lang yung amount, but the manner by which how it was released, how it was requested.
Sabi nung iba na, di ba dapat
Periodic
medyo na to, red flag na itong ganito kalaking amount?
Yes,
Pero
oo.
alam kasi nila, representative kasi ito ni ganyan.
Kasi
Kaya
titingnan
binigyan.
mo, Lord, no? Pag confidential funds, tapos yung sa dun sa report no na flag as na ND siya, notice of disallowance, yung manner by which it should be utilized. Dalawang klase lang yan. It's either you buy information, purchase of information, or you reward for the
Correct.
information.
Hindi siya basta-basta ginagamit.
Hindi.
Oo.
Ang nangyari kasi doon, meron pang mga payment for safe houses.
Training.
May
Mas
mga
mahal
training.
pa sa hotel. Ang safe
Exactly.
house. Saan ba yung safe house na yan?
Kaya nga sinasabi ni Senator Ping, at ibabangga ko din doon sa pag-describe nila as unusual. Pag confidential funds kasi minsan hindi mo talaga mauubos yan in 1 year eh. Yun kasi parang merong rhythm eh. May cadence. Every 3 months, pak, lalabas. Every quarterly, may lumalabas request na cheque, tapos i-encash on the same day. With the same person, 2 days before, tinatawagan yung branch na yon ng Land Bank. So, of all of these things, talagang unusual siya. Diba? Kasi
Sinasadya nyo ba na parang ma-match siya sa testimonya ni Ramil Madiaga?
actually, hindi. Kasi nagkataon lang talaga.
Kasi iyan ang basa ng marami, sir.
Yes. Kasi totoo yung sinasabi eh. Yun ang parati natin sinasabi sa publiko na meron talagang, sinabi na nga ng COA, di ba? Kasi na-flag na nila na hindi talaga angkop doon sa joint circular. That's why it was treated as may notice of disallowance. Kasi isa lang yung pagkatotohanan kasi, Lord. Katotohanan yan. No matter who or kanino or saan mo makukuha or sino nagsasabi, talagang magtutugma yan. O, diba? So nakita natin talagang meron talagang meron talagang kwento at testimonies, kwento ni Madriaga sa affidavit niya and the testimonies of these two land bank managers, nagtugma yung oras, yung date, yung kung sino yung nag-encash, kanino pangalan, ano yung branch kung saan yun nga, according to Madriaga's affidavit, kung saan niya pinuntahan yung si Miss Acosta. No?
Kung Zia, tawag dito, si Senator Ping Lacson sabi niya parang maganda rin na magkaroon ng parang person na specialist intelligence who can talk about such things. Meron ba kayong nakaplano? Resource person?
Yes, actually may nga, sabi nga ni Congressman Joel Chua, meron naman talagang reserve witness. No? You were asking about how we strategize ang prosecution panel, no? Isa yan ata sa mga pinag-uusapan pa kung paano mas maganda pa yung presentation. Kung kinakailangan magpatawag or mag-request sa korte to subpoena a certain individual na who is part of the intelligence community para mas lalo pang maklaro kung paano ginasto itong confidential funds, makakatulong sa kaso, isa yan sa pinag-uusapan. Kasi may reserve witness naman eh.
Kung Zia, excited ka na rin bang makilala si Mary Grace Piatos?
Tagal na, isang taon na rin nating hinahanap kung sino ba talaga si Mary Grace
Sa Lanao ba
Piato.
walang Piatos doon?
Wala.
Kasi sabi-
Pero may mga snack na Piatos.
Kasi sabi ni Senator Bato so dapat marami Piatos doon.
Talaga?
Sabi niya,
Oo.
marami daw Piatos doon, kahit magpunta ka pa raw doon, sabi niya. Oo.
Pero,
Go.
ang alam ko lang Piatos sa Lano is yung mga snack na Piatos, di ba?
Nako. Mukhang pagdagkaanuhan at walang na-produce na person of such name. Mabibigo talaga ako. Not for yung may kinalaman sa impeachment, pero parang, I thought you were real. Papapicture dapat ako sa'yo. Oo. Kong Zia, ang prosecution din ba, gine-gameplay niya, pinaghahanda niya, halimbawa, paano kung, halimbawa, biglang nag-manifest na naman yung dalawang magkapatid na abogado for the defense. Yung dalawang senador pala sa minority.
Well, sa kanila naman, meron naman silang kapangyarihan. I mean, it's their discretion how they would act and how they would approach the discussion. Ang sa atin lang, in-expect naman natin ng mga senator judges na maging partial, di ba? Yun naman talaga yung in-expect. Hindi lang tayo, pati na ng taong bayan, in-expect din na maging partial. So, nasa kanila kasi ang importante naman, lahat ng mga katanungan nila ay nasasagot naman ng House Prosecution Panel.
Tama. Kayo sa prosecution, dapat din, huwag kayo dapat one-sided lang, sir.
Kailangan talaga maging one-sided, otherwise paano mo ipoprove yung kaso mo?
Isa ka yata sa mga tumawa
mas
doon sa
nakakatakot
harapan.
kung naniniwala ka doon sa kabila, di ba? Na you're supposed to prosecute.
Isa ka yata sa mga tumawa doon sa harapan, sir.
Ay, wala ako doon. Nasa
Wala
likod
ka
ako.
ba ron?
Wala ako doon. Nasa likod ako.
Okay. So, sir, ano pong aasahan natin sa Lunes?
Well, sa Lunes, pinatawag yung mga galing COA. Pag-usapan naman sa Lunes is paano yung pag-utilize, no? Based on the joint circular at saka ano yung mga violations. So doon natin malalaman yung hindi yung pag-hold ng isang orientation or ano para sa mga kasi unang-una ba't ka magkakaroon ng ganung leadership program sa mga informant? Ano pauupuin mo doon ng asset mo? 'Di ba? I mean,
Magle-lecture siya.
dapat hindi mo dapat 'yun pina-expose yung mga asset mo. So bakit gano'n yung pagkasta mo ng utilization fund? Pangalawa, doon natin malalaman yung mga nirenta ng mga safe houses, doon mo ilalagay yung mga informants mo, di ba? So, I mean, these are the things that we would be expecting next week na magpag-uusapan. So, ipalalatag natin doon kung ano yung violation. Kasi ang inaano natin dito, Lord, is ang talagang tinetest natin dito is yung fitness niya. Whether yung mandato niya sa kanyang opisina when she took office and then sworn to uphold, of course, at the very least, accountability by promoting the principle of public offices of public trust, tapos yung binigay sa kanya na tiwala para itong mga pondo na ito ng taong bayan ay pagkatiwala sa kanya ay mukhang nalihis at hindi sa kanya hindi niya nagawa.
Kung Zia, kayo ba nagbabasa pa ng social media? I'm sure marami kayong mga constituents na hindi sang-ayon sa pagpanig ninyo sa prosecution.
True.
Malang tinuturing kayong taksil, taga Mindanao ka pa naman.
Well, ang unang-una kasi pag taga Mindanao, talagang sabi nila sa Bisaya mo, barog sa kamatuuran, di ba? I mean, pinaninindigan ng tama. Ito ang tama eh. Ang taga Mindanao naniniwala na kung ano man yung dapat na makakabuti sa bansa, ay dapat yun ang panghawakan. Yun ang pagiging Mindanawan ko eh. Diba? So, deserve din nila. Ako, bilang Mindanawan, deserve ko rin malaman ng katotohanan. Kasi maski associated ako or closely known to be part of the prosecution as one of their spokesperson, karapatan ko rin malaman ng katotohanan. Actually, hindi ko nga rin itong nakikita itong mga financial records pa eh. So all of us are still waiting. Yeah? Waiting for these documents to be presented by the prosecution para malaman natin ang katotohanan.
Waiting for Mary Grace Piatos, Kung Zia. Sir, maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much,
Bitin
Lord.
pala yung oras natin pag no?
Yeah.
Okay, maraming salamat. Thank you po ang isa po sa mga spokespersons ng prosecution panel and Lanao del Sur 1st District Representative Zia Alonto Adyong. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you.
And Political Beat will be back after this very quick break. one of the more overlooked items in its fifth SONA involves space and a rocket. Now, before any smart ass out there makes any jokes, we'd like to make it clear we mean rocket, meaning a long tube-shaped device or vehicle propelled into air or space by burning gases, and not racket as in a fraudulent or dishonest money-making enterprise. So back to my point. In his fifth SONA, President Marcos Jr. announced that the Philippines is set to conduct a rocket launch test in Cagayan next year. Quote, "Yes, we are going to launch a rocket into space," said the President in his SONA 2 days ago. I know what you might be thinking. Is the President actually talking about the same country? The same government that can't even get its godforsaken national ID program right? That cannot even complete a 5.8-kilometer railway to Cavite, whose eternal scourge seems to be the busted elevators and escalators of the MRT along EDSA. But maybe things will be different in the 2 remaining years of Bagong Pilipinas, as they were in the Philippines under the new society of President Marcos Sr. See, once upon a time, the current president's name has literally been attached on the side of a rocket. Again, we mean rocket and not racket. The name of the rocket is Bong Bong 2, which is said to be the first liquid propellant rocket developed by the Philippines. I now take you back to March 1972 to a highly classified state project called Project Santa Barbara. President Marcos Sr., in anticipation of the U.S. military pulling out of these shores, ordered the military to develop and test rockets, military rockets. One of the successfully launched was named after the dictator's son. Reports of 2 more successful launches followed in December, same year, and one in 1973. But the 2024 Vera Files report showed declassified communications about the rocket project and why nothing more about it was heard after 1975. A cable from the U.S. State Department assessed the Bong Bong project is a wasteful and heavy burden on the finances of the Philippine economy. And that is the word of the Lord for tonight. And the political beat, Thursday, 30th of July. I am Lourdes de Vera. Good evening. You all deserve a big day.